stuck with that senior and just ask him about internship process a lot. I mean, I didn't care whether I'm messaging him or her at 11 a.m. or 11 p.m., but I used to message them a lot, and I used to ask questions regarding my CV making, regarding the internship test, regarding all the process of internships. So seniors are very much important in this internship process. Apart from that, uh, in my Sony company, there's some unique kind of recruitment. Like we have to go through an essay process. Like we have to write an essay about why do you want to work in Sony and what are your achievements that aligns your interest towards the role that you're applying for in Sony. So these type of essay, I write down the essay, and I definitely uh, asked a lot of seniors to review it, and they have helped me a lot in those circumstances. And in the CV making too, I have used a lot of seniors. Like in the CV making, there are some smart moves that you can use. Like you have to use numbers. Like if you are doing a machine learning project and you want to put it down in your CV, so put the numbers, like how much accuracy you have improved, how much impact it has done to solve a real world problem. And it was kind of helpful, as the company wants to see the students solving a real world problem instead of just mugging up the concepts and applying it vaguely. So it was kind of helpful for me. And CV making is an intensive process, so it requires a lot of reviews. So you can ask your seniors, ask your bhaiya didis who are doing internships or jobs in corporate world. Apart from that, in the interview process. So my Sony interview process, it was like one day before I got to know that I was selected for the Sony interview process. I was I was actually I was doing a trip with my friends. So I was kind of excited. I mean, I always wanted to do an intern in industrial research. So next day it was my internship, and I was doing a trip. So I was calm and cool. I was kind of confident. Means confidence is always very very important, very significant for the internship process. Means in the internship, in the interview, you have to just persuade the person in front of you that you are the best person for him or her, for the company you are the best suitable person. So I answered the questions that they have asked. I answered in such a way that it met the requirements that they require for that role. I mean, I was using my experience as a base experience. I was using my experience. I was telling about my experiences, and I was also stating that what I have learned from it and the skills that I've learned from it, I try to align with the requirements that they have uh, put down in their opening. So it was kind of helpful, because the people, because some companies asking you for machine learning internship role. So they don't want to know, they don't want you to know much about the augmented reality. Obviously you have to tell them what are the various specific skill sets that you learn that can be useful for them. So these type of things can help you a lot. And apart from that, at last I would like to say that internship process is kind of a hectic. Means for 1 or 2 months, it will be hectic for you, but at last, if you stay confident and stay focused and determined, then it would be really really kind of an great journey for you. And at last I would like to say that I was a 7.2 CGPA at my internship time, but I managed to crack a decent company. So I would like to say never lose hope. Thank you.
Thanks, Anuj. I hope your experience is really going to help all of us. Also, those who have any questions, please post that in question and answer column, which is at the right of the bottom, at the bottom right. And please send those to all hosts rather than sending privately. Okay, so I will like to call upon the next panelist, that is Bhavuk Bandula sir. Bhavuk sir, over to you.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Hi, I'm Bhavak Bhandula. I am a student in Maths department and I'm interning at NK Securities. So I guess there are a lot of resources and a lot of stuff available online which you can explore. A lot of seniors can guide you in what you should do in the role you're pursuing. But I guess the most important part is, I guess, a psychological part during the whole process. Uh, the internship process can get very stressful and a lot of times toxic as well. So the most important thing, according to me, is for you to have a support system. Um, your parents and all, sibling, family helps a lot, but if you have a couple of friends with whom you can discuss everything, with whom you can, you know, have support, even one or two friends will suffice. And if you discuss with them, they can help you through the process. I guess it will help you avoid all the toxicity in the system. So having a support system and having people to discuss everything with, discuss the tips, discuss the resources, discuss the process, I think that would help a lot. Other than that, important part of the whole process is your CV making. Most of the selections, according to me, happen even before the interview. The company decides on the basis of CV, on the basis of test, and finally, it confirms whether it has to take you or not at the interview round. Most of it happens before the interview. So CV making is a very necessary skill. A lot of seniors will be able to guide you, and you should communicate with your mentor, your close seniors, for the whole process. One or two tips on CV making is, I would say that if you're writing a project, the project should not, overlay what it is about. Like the whole description shouldn't be the abstract of the project. Instead, you should write more about what you did in the project and what were the results, uh, the overall results and the results of what you did. So writing technical details, writing the methods you used, maybe if you're doing a machine learning project, explaining what processes you use, what techniques you use, and what were the results, like um, the percentage of accuracy and all of that. That's more important. If you're writing a DSA project, you can explain the various data structures you use, how you modified the data structures, and things like that. For a tech CV, I guess extracurriculars are not very important. So you should focus more on projects, or maybe scholastic achievements. If you're targeting an HFT, scholastic achievements comprise a very large portion of it. So if you have achieved anything, be it small, be it big, you should write it in your CV, starting from your JE rank and everything, to even small competitions in school level or anything like that. I guess a scholastic is better than any extracurriculars, unless that extracurricular is very good. So uh, that way, CV making is a very important component of the whole process. Other than that, mostly in the start, I was confused about uh, the coding portion, what I should try. There were so many things available. There were code forces, code chef, lead code, interview bid. I discussed with my mentor, and he told me that Code Forces and Code Chef, these sites are very good for general comp coding, but they don't really have company-like questions. If you look at Lead Code or HackerRank or Interview Bit, those questions are more oriented towards what you will be asked in the interviews and what you will be asked in the coding test. So in the last month before the interviews, I would suggest you that you focus on Interview Bit or Lead Code or such websites rather than going into Code Forces and all. For quantitative roles, coding is essential, but it's not, I think, that difficult as if you look into software roles like DShaw or something. So the coding in DShaw might be a bit more difficult, but quant roles, um, you should focus on quant as well. You know, Websites like Brainstellar, or there are a lot of books available like 50 Problems in Probability. There are many resources which you can, discuss with your seniors and look into. A lot of companies might also have their specific interview questions, or you can find resources online. And I guess in Brainstellar, there are a lot of sources also mentioned. You could look into those books if you have time. But the whole process finally, I guess, boils down to your temperament. It is a very stressful time, especially in the last couple of days when the shortlists are finally coming. You would see that a lot of people are getting some shortlist and you are not. So if you get disheartened or lose confidence, then that would affect your shortlist and the interviews that you already have. So whatever shortlist you get, you should try and focus on that. You shouldn't look into what others are doing, and you should obviously discuss with your close friends and decide on how to approach the various interviews, talk to seniors, and one important thing is, I would say, having a mock interview before the day one or day two or whenever your interview is. You could have interviews amongst yourself, ask each other questions, or you could ask a senior to take a mock interview for you. That would give you a good experience on how you're gonna approach that. Uh, you might be good at problem solving, but if you're not able to show that to the interviewer, that would be, wouldn't help. One thing is that the interviewers in most companies are very nice. In my company, I guess I got a lot of support during the interview round. If I was stuck somewhere, he would help me. He would, give me hints, and he just wanted to see if I could think in the right direction. He didn't expect me to give the whole solution instantaneously. It was a communication instead of question answer. We were discussing. We even bonded during the interview, and now when I meet my interviewers in my company, we are good friends. So that's that. And yeah, the interview process is, you should look at it as it's very fun. It's not a question answer. Confidence and just listening to the interviewer is key. One thing I would say is that even if you know the answer to a question, if you have solved a question before in the interview, you should not straight away jump to the answer. You should always build a solution, whether you know the answer or not. Like if you're in a coding interview, you should first start with a brute force solution and then move towards making it better and finally reaching the optimal solution. So that's that. And quant and coding have similar interviews, because in coding interviews you don't really have to write the code in most of the companies. Sometimes they might ask you to write a code. Both of them are problem solving only. So if you prepare for both of them, they might even help in each other's coding rounds. So it's general problem solving. You just have to move towards the right direction. The interview will guide you, and you have to be confident during the interview. So that's that from my side for now.
Thanks, Babu. It was really nice to hear your experience. Now, I would like to call the third panelist, Deepak sir. Over to you.
Jesus, am I audible?
Yes, Deepak sir, you are
Hi.
audible.
Yeah. So, hi guys, I'm Deepak. I'm from MNC department and currently doing an SD intern at 8 AI. So yeah, I completely agree with what Bhavuk and Anush say. But on adding to that, like the first thing which you will encounter in the internship is CV making. You shouldn't take it lightly. Yeah, but like it doesn't mean that like CV matters a lot. But yeah, CV matters. So like you should get it reviewed from your seniors, and then talking about the for the specific to SD roles, the one thing which separates you from getting an internship is the amount of coding questions you have done, the amount of computer coding you know. So like uh, ag-
Hello everyone. I guess I am audible to everyone. So Deepak sir is facing some issue. He will join us at last. So we will move towards the next panelist. Like Gunjan sir, over to you. Um, I guess Gunjan sir has some audio problems, so we will move to the next panelist. Shashwat sir, are you there? Like,
Yeah, I'm there. Am I
yeah,
audible?
yes sir. So Shashwat sir, please can you continue the session?
Yeah, so hi everybody. I'm Shashwat. I am a like third and fourth year student in the Department of Electrical Engineering, and currently I'm pursuing an intern in Samsung Research, South Korea. So like basically, I will walk down through the important steps that are necessary for the internship. First step is the CV making. I believe CV making is one of the like most important steps of the like whole internship process, because unless you have a good CV, you won't be shortlisted. A lot of the shortlists are like based upon how good your CV actually is. So what I did, and like what was suggested to me by my mentor and my seniors, was to follow the STAR approach for CV making. So that approach is all about. So as if we expand the words of the STAR, so for with S we have situation, with T we have task, with A we have action, and R result. So I'll basically explain what each term signifies. For the situation, so we have to basically explain what situation does a project tackle. It may be an abstract or background of the project. The second thing would be the task. In the task you should like write about what did you intend to do in your project, or like what your aim of the project was. In the action, like how did you implement the project, like if it is an ML or AI project, like what was the algorithms, what were the algorithms you used for the project, like you used a neural network or a CNN, or like any other architecture. Or like if it is a data structures project, like you should write about what were the data structures you use, and how like how using those data structures helped in your project. The last is the result. In the result you have to like summarize what did you get out of the project. And like it's important if you like quantify your outcomes, like if you uh, like if using a heap data structure made your project faster than a brute force approach, you should like write it that uh, the program efficiency of your program was increase was like it was originally big O of n square, and then it became big O of n log n. So you should write these things and like give a concrete result, that how by using a particular data structure, or how by using a particular algorithm you were able to achieve a better result. So this was about the CV making. And also like I forgot to add, like if you are aiming for a software or like SD role, one of the most important things in your CV is your scholastic achievements and your projects. So like uh, a lot of like incoming third year students don't have a lot of projects to write in the CV. So in that case, I suggest you to write all the like course projects you did your call 106 assignments and any like machine learning project you might have done in your free time. So feel free to include all those projects. And like CS and EE students, you might be having like some course assignments. So like add those projects for sure. Then comes the like coding test part. So for the coding test, you have to basically complete a set of questions within a time limit. So the only thing to go about is to practice as many questions as possible. As like others mentioned, the best platforms for practicing would be InterviewBit and LeetCode, and these were like the main platforms I primarily practiced upon. If you have less time, I would suggest you to go like religiously through lead code and interview bit. Like in interview bit and even in lead code, the problems are like arranged section wise. And for the interns, I would say for SD roles especially, the most important topics would be graph theory, dynamic programming, and binary search on answer. Well, binary search on answer is one particular topic that a lot of people leave it, like it goes neglected. But you like we found questions on binary search at like 2-3 tests if I remember correctly. So be sure to like do that topic well. Another thing I would like to mention here is that you also like remember that there is uh, not a single seat in intern, there are a lot of seats. So if you like plan about going in such a way that you think that you do a thing and do not like hide it from your friends, and think that if I do it and if I have a good resource and only I should do it, and if my friend also does it, he'll be a competition to me. I personally think that like that is not the way to go about it, because like if you discuss problems regularly with your friends, you like you get to know the thought process of others. And like imagine a problem comes when like it does not struck you, but you know like somebody else would think about the problem in such a way. So like you might get an approach to a problem in certain cases when you are not able to think it on your own. So in my opinion, it is very essential to have like a group of friends whom with whom you prepare for the coding test and like discuss problems with them. Like even if you are able to solve a problem, be curious about how others did that problem, because like you might have done a problem in another like in using some data structure, and somebody else might have done it using a different algorithm altogether. So insert in it in the test, it might happen that your algorithm or your the way you have implemented the code does not like pass all the cases, the but the way your friend had implemented that algorithm, that is able to pass that case due to some like minor running time difference. So it is essential to know more than one way to handle a problem. The next thing would be, so after the interviews comes the like the interview day. So in the interview day, a very important thing I feel is like is that like when they ask you questions, you don't have to like explain them the answer. You have to explain them your thought process, like how you actually arrive at the answer. That's what they look for. Like if you even if you know a question, as like one of the previous speakers mentioned, don't jump right at the solution. Like just build the solution in front of them, go step by step. Just like if it is a dynamic programming question, just first write the brute force recursion, and after that maybe memorize it and show them like how what you're doing. Draw the like tree recurrence diagram and show how like a particular function is being called again and again, and how you can like reduce the running time by storing those calculations. So things like these are very important during an interview. The Another important thing I feel in the during the interviews is to ask for clarifications. Like sometimes what the like interview people what they do is like they do not give you a precise and crisp problem statement. They give a sort of vague statement, and they expect you to ask like understand the problem and like ask for clarifications, and like they hide some of the certain details of the questions to you and do not give it to you in a straightforward manner. In such a question, like it is important for you to like steadily understand what the question is asking. Like if there is a coding question, it they might not give you the constraints of the variables that are present. In that case, it would be like nice if you ask them like what can be the range of this variable, and like certain things, like it is exceeding the normal, like it cannot be implemented n square, like the range of this variable is very large, so the only thing, it has to go in log n times, so binary search might be a possible solution to for this problem. So asking clarifications is also very important. And the next thing would be to have like a good moral support. Like there would a lot of times it would happen that you are able to like do good in coding tests and don't get this shortlist from that company, so don't be disheartened in such a case. There are a lot of companies, and like at the end of the day, like everybody gets an intern, so like there would be companies coming all the way to the next semester and beyond. So just like stay focused and keep working. That's it, and all the best to everyone.
Thanks, Ashwat sir. We are all enlightened by your experience. So I would like to call our next panelist, Gurusha Juneja ma'am. Ma'am, over to you.
Hi Tejas, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Hi guys, I'm Gurusha and I'm from Electrical Engineering Department. So currently I'm interning at Microsoft and as an ST intern. So basically my work is development, which I had never done before because I was more concentrated towards competitive coding, and I would like to tell all of you that the work at software companies is completely different from what you might have done before. So yeah, coming to the preparation. So basically, I had this kind of a friend circle who already knew about uh, interviews and uh, about coding, and also I also started coding from the first year, like the end of the first year. So I use the standard website that the previous speakers have also told, like CodeChef, Codeforces, HackerRank, etc. So I did this up till the end of the second year. That's before the vacation period. So I used to participate in like weekly contests, and then discuss with my friends. So yeah, so as a previous speaker said, that it is very important to have a friend circle uh, who with whom you can basically discuss. So what I used to do is, just after every contest, I used to call up my friends and discuss all the questions. So that helped a lot. And then after that, during the vacation period, I left all that contests and all. So I started focusing towards lead code. So that is primarily focused towards the questions that are actually asked. So there's no need for you to go into the hard ones. Just do the easy and the medium ones. And I for the preparation thing, I did almost complete the medium ones and the easy ones. So then in the free time, one that would be around 1.5 months in the starting of my holidays. So I used to also go through websites like Geek for Geeks to know about the coding questions that were actually asked in the test. And then towards the end of July, half of July, I used to practice interviews at Interview Bit. So you can actually get someone from somewhere at Interview Bit and schedule a interview in which you would be given questions from the website itself, and you have to ask it. And basically, it's just to practice how you would explain to the interview. And other resources that I used was there's a famous book named that's CLRS, in which you can mainly go to concepts like sorting, trees, and graphs, etc. And then you need to basically focus on concepts like tree traversals is a very important concept that is asked in interviews. And you should be very good with arrays, I would say. For my case, getting into Microsoft, they asked only one question in the interview, and that was just array manipulation. So you should be good with merging, sorting, etc. So also one of the favorite topics is, again, as some of the previous speakers said, it's dynamic programming, and it's binary search, or you can say divide and conquer approaches. And yeah, for the CV part, the stochastic achievements has to be big. So basically, if that does not, I mean, ECA part has to be small in software companies. And if you have a smaller achievements section, you can increase by adding any achievement, be it like if you are a competitive coder, you can just write your ratings on the portals like CodeShift, etc. And then I would like to tell you like the process for Microsoft. It was first there was a coding round that was around 1 hour, and we were asked just two simple questions. First one was an implementation based, and the second was heap data structure. And for the interview part, as I already told you, so the basic thing in the interviews is to just keep calm. Just don't hesitate, ask anything you like, and the interviewer would obviously be good. So he or she would help you throughout the process. Just speak whatever it's coming to your mind. Just don't hesitate. Just and also don't stop speaking. So yeah, and some of the mistakes that I would like to highlight during my internship process was that I used to get nervous a lot, like a lot. In my Google interview, sorry, in my Google test, it was, I would say it was fairly easy, the questions, but I could not do even a single question because I was not able to log in. So that time we had a like 3 or 4 hour slot in which we had to give a 1 hour test. So I decided that I would be doing it in the last 1 hour, and then I was not able to log in because they had some registration process that had to be done before, which I did not do. So I was not, I somehow I did register and entered, so I had the full 1 hour, but I was not able to do a single question because I was just I was just so messed up in my mind before actually giving the test. So I would suggest you guys do not do this. And also in my like GS interview, so I was late, but that also messed up. So yeah, it's just the thing is that you don't have to be, you just have to be calm during your exams and your interviews. And for, I would say that CGPA is not a very big deal that students make out of it, because there are students who have less CGPA and they are getting into very good companies. So it's just about, it's just a mental thing, the entire internship process. So yeah, all the best to all of you.
Thanks, Purusha. It was a quite insightful of your experience. Also, guys, the a separate session will be conducted regarding the process, how it's the process and the timeline. So please avoid the questions regarding that. Okay, so I would like to call the next panelist, Deepak sir. Over to you.
Hi, Tejas, am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah, first of all, so sorry guys, like there was some network issue and some disturbance around me, so I would have to drop last time. So yeah, currently I'm doing an SD intern at 8-Volt AI. So specific to SD role, like let me tell, like I started to put my preparation. I started like before 2 months, I started to coding on practice.gfc. I means there are several platforms like GFG, Lead Code and stuff. I would suggest you to follow one platform. Like you shouldn't follow like all work on all these, but a specific stick to one of the platform. And I used to maintain a sheet in which I had just in the sheet I have put rows as the number of like topics and the number of questions I have solved in them. So it would help me. This would have helped me. Like I didn't miss any topic, and especially yeah, like the topics like DP and graphs and like binary search and all. These are like quite more important. So you should invest more time in these topics. And yeah, one more thing is like sometimes when I was preparing. like doing the coding question, sometime I got stuck in a question. So initially I used to spend like some more time, like around half an hour or an hour. But I would suggest you to not to waste time on that. Rather, just see the solution once and see the solution and then close it and then code it by yourself. So it would save your time as well because like you have only, I guess, 1 month only with you. So you can spend more than like half an hour on a single question. So that would really help you. And one more thing, like when you get stuck in a question and like it's a new concept, either note it down and like a be like I used to code with one my friends. Like we were of a 3 4 groups and like we used to like see like in one day who solves maximum number of questions. So like creating a competitive environment around you like helps in solving much more questions than you actually can do. And also, yeah, like for SD roles, like if you see during the coding, there are just two coding questions. So your calmness of mind is like really important. So like during the when you give the coding test, you shouldn't be like worried or like you should have at least some calm mind and like you can do it because if you have prepared for like two months and solved enough questions, they won't be asking very tough questions and stuff. They would ask just normal questions which you can do. So yeah, and like yeah, one more thing like which I did was like suppose I was giving a test of Google or something like suppose Amazon. So I would ask the seniors who are working Amazon like what kind of Amazon questions are, what is the format of their coding test, because some companies just ask like two coding questions, some companies ask like there are one or two coding questions and there are several MCQs. So like there is separate strategy for each paper. So before the test at least you should know key what is the format which is coming in the test, so it would give you a plus point. And yeah, like after the coding test, there is an interview sessions, day 1, day 2, day 3. So by that time your coding part is done. Now you don't have to do something like programming and stuff. Now you have to be prepared, and the only thing which matters right now is your confidence, because the amount of coding or amount of DSA you need to do you have done. So the first and foremost thing you should do is like have a mock interview, at least one interview it and at least one with one of your seniors. It quite really helps a lot because when the first time you have a mock interview, you realize you don't even know how to even answer the questions. So ask one of your senior or your mentor, or on interview you can schedule it and take possible suggestions and like try to incorporate them. Second, when you go for interview, you should be like dressed up in a formal manner. Like you should be on time. You should wear events like coat suit or something in a formal, because it creates a good impression that a interviewer thinks like you are serious about your internship. And like doing the interview, just don't like if the interviewer asks you questions, it doesn't mean like you should just answer it directly. Be engaged in like you cross question. First of all, whenever he gives you a question, just ask what are the possible cases, what are the corner cases and stuff, so that you get a clear idea of the whole the picture. And then you just directly don't, like others, these guys also said, you directly don't tell them the solution. Rather, you just keep on discussing that how you are approaching the solution. You should tell your approach. It's not like you just staying bit for 2 minutes, like you're just thinking on your own. Rather, just think and tell the interviewer that I'm thinking this, working on this, and where this might work in this way. So this creates a good impression in front of the interviewer. And yeah, like for the two interviewers, and yeah, there might be some case like you were targeting a dream company, but due to some or other reasons, and that you didn't get a shortlist. So yeah, there are sometimes we feel low, but their peer support group, you should at least talk with your close ones so that you don't get down. Otherwise, means yeah, that's the very resistant part. And at the end of the like each other says, everyone gets an internship. So there is nothing like that whether I'll get or not. But yeah, some gets it earlier because they have done more coding questions. And yeah, now specifically, like, yeah, that's all. And yeah, about CV making. So you just at least get your CV should be reviewed at least from your 3 4 guys, 3 4 of your seniors. Get it reviewed. You just send any senior, just send him your CV and ask him to review it. He means you will get a possible better suggestion. But yeah, during this SD roles, CV doesn't matter a lot. They only companies take the one who knows more DSA. So you should focus and like the coming 1 month you should like completely devote to DS and stuff only, because like the number of questions you solve more, your probability of getting an internship is more. So yeah, and yeah, Baki like this other guys, Anuj and told like keep on talking with seniors, keep on getting new and new ideas, and like don't waste time at this point of time because time is really precious. Like you can basically don't waste time, either read something or like solve the questions. That's it. Yeah, so cool.
Thanks, Deepak sir. Yeah, it was interesting to hear about your experience. So yes, we have done. Yeah. So I would like to call on a last. Just a second. So I would like to call a last panelist, Gunjan sir. Are you there?
Yeah, am I audible, Tejas?
Yes, sir, Gunjan.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Gunjan and I'm from CSC department. Currently, I'm working as SD intern at Graviton. So basically, I will divide my talk in 3 points like CV making, coding test, and interviews. So in case of making, other panelists have already covered most of the point. I will like to cover one point like if you have a lot of projects, then it comes to that like you are not able to figure out which project you should keep in the CB and which project should be at the top. So in that case, it depends upon the company to company. And like in case of Hfts, most of the Hfts have their code base in C++. So you should keep C++ projects at the top. In case of AIML intern, you should keep AIML projects at the top. And one most important point is you must know everything about the project. Like you must know which library you have used and why you have preferred this library over the others and what are the alternatives that are available and which algorithm you have used. And you must explain it uh, in every way. Like you must not like get stuck if interviewer cross questions in anything. And talking about coding test, there are questions related to DSA and core questions. So coming to DSA, like I had done around 300 to 400 questions from LeetCode. I started doing DSA questions after third semester, uh, after doing call 106 data instructions and algorithm. And during fourth semester, I submitted around 100 to 150 questions on LeetCode. And during the May to June period, I submitted 200 more questions. So that was around 350 questions. So as everyone said, like you must do the questions and you should prepare a list of what questions you have done and what concept you have learned from the questions. And talking about core questions, some of the companies ask questions about networks and OS and computer architecture, all those stuffs. So uh, it is like most of you have not done those topics, so it actually balances out. So you can leave those questions, and if you have prepared all for the intern, then you might try to learn those topics in the during the remaining time. So there are some companies which ask questions related to C++, like they might give you an object and which has several fields, and they might ask if you initiate this object, then what is the size of that object. So you should prepare those C++ questions. Usually you don't learn uh, while the course of 106 or call 100. So one most important point I would like to focus is you must write error-free code. Like as everyone must have appeared for JEE, and that's compulsory. So in JEE also, it might have happened that you know the question, but you don't like manage time, and that because of that you lose marks. And similarly, if you don't write error-free code and waste your time in debugging the code and just keep on just compiling, and it gives error and errors. So that's actually waste your time and you will get frustrated. So start practicing writing error-free code. That don't get too lazy while writing the code and just keep on wasting time. So so basically the point is you must if you write the code in 10 minutes, then you must be able to debug it in like 1 or 2 minutes. You should not waste your time while debugging and wasting a lot of time during the coding test. And coming to the interview, you must be prepared for the interview. You should not be like your first interview should be the actual interview. Like one of my friend actually didn't prepare for the interview, and when he went to the interview, the interviewer asked, "Tell me about yourself," and he was like, "I haven't, मतलब, मुझे कुछ नहीं पता." Like so, you must prepare for the interview, and you must have a 1 to 2 minutes intro video about yourself that must tell what are the projects you do, and what you like. That must be precise and concise about yourself. And talking about the DSA questions, you must build upon the questions as everyone have suggested. Like you should not just speed up the answer directly without taking thinking how you are building upon the solution. And if an interviewer asks to write the code, then you must focus on naming the variables. Like naming while naming the variables, it should not be any random like int a, int b, int c, any random stuff. You must name the variables like which denotes what its use is, and your code must be clean, clear, and code. And if there are some companies which ask core questions, like in case of Graviton, they asked me a lot of questions about computer architecture. So uh, that questions, it's like you must study properly while those topics are being done during the semesters. So if they ask tough questions about the computer architecture and all those core questions, then they give you a lot of hints, and so you must like grasp those hints and then answer those. Like you should not be like you are just thinking and not talking to the interviewer. So you must take hints from the interviewer, and then you must tell your ideas, what you are thinking, and he will help you. And finally, you might be able to answer the very tough questions which you couldn't answer without taking the hints from the interviewer. And talking about the topics like operating system and networks, which you must not have done. So you could directly tell them that I have not done this courses till now. So that's fine. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you. All the best, everyone.
Thank you, Gunjan sir. I hope students have learned a lot from the insights which you shared with us. So moving towards the question and answer session, we have tried a lot to compile a lot of questions, and yeah, most of we try to answer most of them. So moving towards the first question, did Sony conduct a DSA ML test? So yeah, I would like to Anuj sir to address this question. Anuj sir.
Yeah, Sony conducted a DSA test. They didn't ask any ML questions, but it was about basic programming. Like there was a DSA question, and there were some questions, basic C and C++ questions. So they didn't focus much on the test, but they focused on the essay that I have said earlier. Like essay, a kind of an HR essay, like why do you want to work in Sony, and what achievements or accomplishments you have made earlier that could be a great boost for you to work in Sony. So these type of questions they are still essay. So essay was more important as compared to the test. Thank you.
Yeah. Also, Anuj sir, how did you manage the three internships? Some students have also asked that.
Because that was COVID and there wasn't any option to travel abroad. So I thought why not to manage multiple internships.
Okay. Thanks. So
But
the next.
it helped me a lot. Yeah, it helped me a lot. Means projects do help in technical interns, as Shashan Bhagat told earlier, that projects do matter. Means if you have a simple project, it's okay, but you have to present in such a way that company should find something insightful, that you have learned something good from it. Like you have learned some uh, a skill set that can be useful for the company. These type of things you have to show in your CV. It doesn't matter whether the project is too complex or project is too simple, but it's the impact and the skill set that you learn from it. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Anuj sir, for your insights and answers. So there is a next question. I would like Bhavuk sir to address this question. So how did you decide between quant and software development roles?
Hi, I honestly didn't. I applied for both of these roles and I did prioritize quant over software because I was more interested in the problem solving aspect. When I was, in the preparation phase, there was a coding portion and there was the quantitative problem solving, maths, probability and all of that. So I enjoyed that portion more. and so I was more into the quant side. I place the banks and the HFT above my software priorities. So that was that, but I guess it's more choice based. If you enjoy coding more, you would maybe like the software roles more, and if you enjoy mathematics and probability and that portion, you would like the quant roles more.
Okay. So again, there is one question for that. Are non-official self projects like say an ML have an equal weightage, and do the HFT consider them, like how it affects in interview and how it does it helps?
I think, yeah, HFTs do consider projects a lot. For HFTs, maybe scholastics and CG might be the first thing they look at. But after that, projects help a lot. And any project which you have done, be it a self project, be it an official internship or official project with a prof, everything matters what you have done. If you have done maybe a self project, you can upload it on GitHub or somewhere and add it in your CV. If you're adding a project in your CV, you should be, well versed with everything, as Gunjan mentioned before. But even if the project does not align with the role, you should write it in your CV because it showcases that you have used your time and you have done something, even if it is not similar to the role, because you will learn about the role when you're in the internship. But if you have done something before, it will surely leave a good impression. Moreover, I would also like to add something about my company. So someone was asking about the company culture at HFTs. In NK Securities, I think the culture is good. The hours are not long and you're given a lot of freedom. I don't really have to check in or check out at every day, and there's no time limit. The official hours might be 9 to 6, but I can come in late, I can go in early. No one's keeping a check on me. It's kind of my responsibility that I have to do my task and complete my work. But in my company, the culture is very chill. The seniors are very nice. So uh, maybe the idea that all HFTs have long hours and a lot of hectic life, it might depend on you after you join an HFT. Moreover, one last thing, as Gunjan mentioned before, uh, C++ is very important in certain companies. NKS had a whole round of C++. I had 3 rounds, and one out of them was completely based on C++. So if you are, if you have done C++ before, even if you haven't, you can maybe look into, object-oriented programming through C++ and other basics of C++ that might help in NKS at least. Moreover, in quant roles, I would say that focus on random walks and stochastic processes as well as probability. Stochastic processes and random walks are very important part of quant roles.
Okay, so thanks, Bhavuk sir, for answering the question. For the next question, I would like Gurusha to address that. And the question is, how important is object-oriented programming and OS, etc., for the intern preparation?
So object-oriented programming is extremely important in in software companies because all of their code is in classes and there's a huge code base. So you cannot do it without creating classes and all. And so just be well versed with all of those concepts. And companies even conduct this kind of an MCQ test in which you have to they give you a code snippet and you have to predict like would it give an error or what would be the output. So or maybe they ask some specific object oriented programming related questions that like on visibility, private, public, etc. So it is highly important. And then for DBMS, it's not very much important. It's not asked in many places, but I think not in software. Yeah, but in some companies they asked simple questions like just a single question that you can write a simple command in SQL and so. And for OS, I haven't seen much OS. I guess it's required in quant companies and finance, so not in standard Microsoft and Google, etc. So
Yeah. Thanks, Gurusha. Also, one question. Like everyone says that to keep calm, but doesn't everyone doesn't know how to keep calm. So, how would you answer that question?
yeah, so my strategy would be just think that you're not going to be selected and just go as if you're playing with a friend, just casual talk with a friend, or maybe you're solving the questions just for fun, just time pass kind of a thing.
Okay. Thanks, Gurusha, for all your insights and answers.
Yeah, I would like to add something. Just prepare as if you don't know anything and just sit as if you know everything, but you are not going to get selected.
So, thanks, Gurusha. And for the next question, I would like Shashwat Saxena to address that. So, what kind of projects can we do other than ML? Like some people, mostly people mentions ML projects. So, what do you think the other than ML, which projects can be mentioned?
Yes, like so basically you're applying for a software role, and we are talking primarily about software companies, so they do expect something related to computer science and software understanding. And like ML is one of the easiest way to demonstrate that you have like somewhat decent coding skills, and at the same time like create a like solution that has tangible effects on the world around you. So like ML is a good project for starters. Like other than that, you can like write your data structure projects. Even if you have not done like call 106, you can like ask your friends who did call 106 and create like some data structure project along those lines. Like also like CS people have that course COP 290. You can like have a look at the projects that were done in that course and maybe create something along that line. And like there are a lot of projects available, like open source projects on GitHub. Like maybe have a look at them and try to like create something based on those projects. And like basically your projects need to show that you have decent coding skills and you have a knowledge about algorithms and like creating projects to have an impact on the world around you. So that's basically it. And somebody asked like I have done projects in computational physics and something along those lines. So yes, if you have done projects like along those lines, do include them. And like just like uh, write what was the like computing stuff that you did in that project. And like imagine if you implemented an algorithm, write briefly about that and what you achieved. How to find projects, somebody asked. Like I mentioned, like just Google some like easy to implement data structure projects, machine learning projects. There is still time, like you can implement some easy like deep learning or machine learning projects on your own and like write it on your CV if you haven't had like a decent project under you.
Thanks, Shashwat. So, for the next question, I would like to call Deepak. Uh, Deepak. So, the question to you, Deepak, is if we are applying for machine learning role, then do we need the complete knowledge for that, like as well as its projects, or irrespective, we can apply for that?
Yeah, so Tejas, one thing I need to clarify, like a company which is coming for an ML role, the company knows that the student are just second year pass outs. They have just passed the second year, so they don't expect the deep machine learning knowledge. They means they expect the knowledge which some basic knowledge of ML. So suppose if I consider like I don't know anything about ML, then if I should apply for an ML role, I would means you can apply, but I would suggest ki rather just not prepare for means like devote your too much time in preparing for ML rather than just go for ST role because they are comparatively easier to get if you haven't done anything related to ML earlier. Like you have just only 1 month, you should rather focus on doing more competitive coding questions rather than just doing ML because you need the projects. And suppose the other case, if I have some knowledge about ML, like I have done some project or some done a course, then the work which I have done until like the projects, 1 or 2 projects I have done, I have to be thorough with that projects. The basic ML knowledge which I know, I have to be thorough with that. And like for ML profile roles, the coding test doesn't have so much coding questions. It have MCQs related to ML basic knowledge. So I should just solve on like on some on like on coding interview and stuff, the MCQ questions related to machine learning. While with that, their coding round will be like you could easily pass it. And then during the interview round, you should be thorough with the basic knowledge and the 1 or 2 projects which you have mentioned in your CV. You should thoroughly revise them, thoroughly read about the basic concepts behind them. And yeah, so if for specific to your question, like if I have no knowledge about ML, so you can apply for it, but like investing, you should more invest on like on SG roles because in interviews they would ask about ML projects, and so you're only 1 month, and I don't think like you can think, yeah, you can make work on it, but doing going for an SD role would be a better option. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Deepak. It was quite insightful. So, for the next question, I will like Gunjan to address that. So, Gunjan, can you please tell us more about non-coding topics like Compark and all?
For interns, like these core questions of computer architecture, operating system, and computer networks, these are very rare. So if you have not done these topics till now, or if these courses have not been taught to you till now, then I don't think you would be able to do it in the remaining 1 month. But in case of like NK Securities has asked some questions related to the computer networks, like which protocol is used in case of mail, or they had asked anything related to the uh, protocols, like which protocols are used in this or that. So those stuffs might be asked in case of computer networks, mainly about the protocols. In case of computer architecture, uh, in my interview, they had asked a lot of questions about pipelining and how integers are stored and how you could store floating point numbers and all those storage things. And actually, they had given me 4 or 5 instructions, and they had told me to do it in minimum number of cycles. Like, so basically you must know everything about the pipelining, how you could optimize things and all those stuffs. And in case of OS, they had asked me questions about paging and context switching, all those things, but I had not done those stuffs at that time. So I directly answered like we have not done those topics. So then the interview was fine. So, and just about C++ questions, they ask a lot about pointers, like they will make pointers and keywords like const, extern, anything like mainly about. And one specific question which they asked in, I think, NK Securities was how 2D arrays are aligned in like in memory. So if you like traverse the array, 2D array from column to column wise, then it will take more time because of cache misses. And if you travel it row wise, then it will take less time because the cache misses will be less. So actually, those questions are much more related to like concept based rather than mugging them up. So you might try all those stuffs and think like basically all these questions are like concept based. You can't memorize these questions. You must learn the concept, and when they will ask you questions, you just take the hint and answer them on the go.
Thanks, Gunjan. Yeah. So, if any panelists want to add something, they can feel free to say something and please share us. Please share with us.
Yeah, so sure. This I was reading, going through the question answers, and I find some questions. So first one is like, how does it matter if I do coding in Java and not in C++? So to add to this point, like 2 of my friends, like during the last year internship season, 2 of my friends were coding in Java and we all were doing in C++. So if I suppose if I am about to start in competitive coding, then I would suggest you to start in C++ because mostly, like most of the competitive coders use C++ as their language. But it doesn't mean ki like if I am coding in Java, I am at a negative side, or I am having some disadvantage. It is equivalent coding in either in C++ or either in Java is equivalent. But the thing is, like most programmers prefer C++, but it does not at all means like coding in Java will give you a negative advantage or give you a disadvantage. It is on the same level. So if you are coding in Java and are comfortable with it, then you should continue with it only, and you should not switch. Means if you are comfortable with Java, you should not switch. Second one was like uh, from where to study OOPS concept. So for SD role specifically, in the interviews, OOPS questions are asked. And if I talk about the coding test, if there are MCQ questions, OOPS questions are asked from OOPS concepts. So you should study at least, give at least one day, because OOPS concept is not like a very long topic. You can complete it within a day. And the most preferred resource is, of course, Geeks for Geeks. Geeks for Geeks has a complete article on the OOPS concept. So give at least one day on studying the OOPS concept. We are going for an SD role. The other one is like, what should I do as a 6-pointer? So for a 6-pointer guy, I would suggest like, yeah, like some companies keep a CG criteria. So you are on at some in negative with compared to someone who is a 7-pointer or 8-pointer, but it completely does not mean like you won't get an internship or something. But the thing is, you need to prepare more. You have to do more coding questions so that you should be able to show company that although my CGPA is less, but I have extreme coding skills so that I can give you better outcomes. And there was one more question. Yeah, do one needs a knowledge of ML also for SD interns? So for that, if the company is coming purely for an SD role, then it won't ask questions related to ML. It will just ask related to this comparative coding and some OOP concept and basic C++ or Java and that stuff. So yeah, you should focus more on comparative coding and DSA data structures rather than focusing on ML stuff, because it won't be of any help. Yeah, that's from my end. Thank you.
Yeah, if I may add, like in the coding test, you can use any language, and for example, like I use Python in a couple of questions that were asked, because like you can a lot of things you can do in Python in a single line, that like you need to write like a lot of lines for that in C++. But like in any case, I strongly advise you to prepare C++ as well, because like C++ they can ask like C++ related questions in the interviews, but like in the coding test, you can feel free to do it in like any language. Also, like somebody asked, like I haven't done much DSA yet. Only 1 month is remaining. So, what should be my approach to prepare for internship? So, like my basic question to you would be like, why do you want to go to a software role? Like, I would suggest you, like there are also a lot of other profiles that you can target, like finance and consulting, and like other profiles. So if you haven't done DSA, and like I assume you don't like have that much of an inclination towards like computer science, like don't come in any sort of peer pressure that you have to go to software development roles just because they are like regarded higher. No role is higher, no role is low, as long as you are happy what you are doing.
There's
Also,
a
like
question related to CV. How frequently are CV related questions asked in an interview? I think they are pretty frequent in certain cases. I was asked a CV related question in a bank, I think Morgan Stanley, and in my quant roles as well, CV related questions were asked. One thing about CV related questions is that you can answer them towards your strength, because it's your CV, you have done the work, so you can steer the whole conversation towards your strengths and what you have done before. What were the results? What were the things you applied? And you have a complete control over this whole round. Even if they ask you to explain a certain line in the CV, you should steer the conversation towards where you want it to be. So that was one thing. Other than that, someone was asking about C++ resources. I guess basic C++ pointer manipulation, etc., would suffice. So you can look into maybe some basic book, even the books which are for 11th and 12th class, or you could look in some basic websites. I don't remember any names, but a detailed knowledge is not required. Just you should be clear with the basic C++ concept. and pointer manipulation and oops. That's it. Other than that, I wanted to add something to what Gunjan said. For NKS, and I don't know about other companies, but for NKS, if you look targeting a systems role or something, maybe they can ask you the, you know, computer architecture or OS related questions. But if you're targeting a quant role, or if you have not studied these topics, because I'm a math student, I had not studied these topics at that time, they were gonna ask me something related to computer architecture, but I told them I have not done this topic yet. It didn't affect my interview at all. So if you have not done something, just uh, say that you have not done that yet, and I don't think it's gonna affect your interview in that scenario. They'll ask something else.
Okay. So adding on to Bhavuk, what Bhavuk said and Shasu said, that you have to be thorough with your CV. Like as Bhavuk said, that you can manipulate your projects. Like uh, you have to, whenever there is a question related to your CV, then you should be very much confident. You should prepare before the interview. You should be thorough with the CV in order to tackle any questions that come up in the interview. So apart from that, I would like to answer: do people belong to textile get interns in IT sector? Yeah. So personally, I know a person. I know my friend, one of my friend, getting intern at Adobe. So it's not like that. I mean, some of the companies are only open for circuital branch, but still there are many companies who are open for non circuital as well as circuital too. So uh, apart from that, if somebody wants to add on projects for these this technical internship, so I would say if you want to add on ML projects, just search Kaggle data science projects, and you can pick one or two projects, and it would just take 2 to 3 days to understand those projects, and uh, you can understand the algorithm and then put it into your CV. Or you can also use Chris Nayak, I would say Chris Nayak YouTube channel, uh, where you can take projects from Chris Nayak YouTube channel and put it on your CV. So CV making is very important, and focus on DSA too. And I hope you all the best for this internship and duration experience. Yeah, thank you.
So I'll also like to add to this, like for my interview at Samsung, like I was made to go through the CV for like 20 minutes and I had to explain like each and every project I did. So like be very thorough with your CV, what you uploaded. Don't lie on your CV. Like don't like try to exaggerate or do something like that on your CV, because like if you in the middle of the interview, if you like get stuck on any point, so that won't get a good impression on the interviewers. Like you should be able to answer like any reasonable question that is asked on your CV, like how did you implement something, like even like for example the call 106 projects, you did it like almost an year back, but then also you should be like thorough with how you implemented the project, because they're like surely gonna ask you questions on that, uh, if they make you go through the CV. And like for my role, they did make me like I had to walk them through my CV for like 20 minutes, so it had a huge role. And like another question is how much finance is required for quant and finance roles. Like for quant companies, they don't like expect you to have a good knowledge of finance. Like you should be good with the quantitative part, like with the puzzles and all and coding role.
Yeah, adding on to Shashwat, quant companies, HFTs at least, I don't think ask you about financial knowledge. None of my interviews had any finance questions when in the HFT side, but a certain banks may ask. Maybe like Morgan Stanley has a very specific role related to financial knowledge only, trading and sales role. So Morgan Stanley or some other banks might ask financial knowledge, but that's limited to just one or two companies. Most of the quant companies don't ask financial questions.
Yeah, as far as I know, even like companies like Goldman Sachs and all, they don't like ask finance related questions.
Okay. So, so yeah, coming to the end of the event, I would like to appreciate and thanks all our panelists for taking the precious time and sharing with us some insights, and which are quite useful. I hope this will help a lot of students. Also, we hope that we have answered all your questions and shared a platform so that you can interact with your seniors and get the insights from them. Yeah, thanks once again to all our participants and panelists. Yeah.